Sweet. All right. Hey, Jess.
Hey, morning.
We're
I got a
recording.
train running
Nice.
in the background right now.
Oh,
Can
cool.
you
Well, I guess
hear?
I'll hear that in like 5 minutes.
You all hear?
Actually, no, like
Yeah.
1 minute.
That's right, like now, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like right
Okay.
now.
We'll start the timer. Oh,
You
yep.
hear
Here it
it?
is.
I feel
Yeah.
like I
Okay.
can hear it on your end.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
like echo.
Cool. All right. Sweet start. First podcast. Train. Right on schedule
Right
apparently.
on
So
schedule. Yeah,
pun
it's kicking
intended.
us off.
All right, so let's get going. I guess give me your 15-second or 5-minute bio elevator pitch on what your deal is, who you are, and what you're working on.
Yeah. So my name for your audience is Jess Averhart, and I am the creator of a new concept called the Reinvention Roadmap. Um, And the idea of Reinvention Roadmap simply is it's really to help women in particular, but not exclusively, but mostly women, right? Level up and think about their reinvention story and how to go from, good to great. Okay, these are a million cliches I just threw out there, but that's true. I mean, so many women right now, particularly now in this sort of changing environment and time, are trying to figure out, am I doing the thing that I'm meant to do? And if I am I doing it at the best and in the best way possible for not just me, but my family and my community? Many people are thinking, oh, I actually am not doing the thing I'm meant to do, and I need to like completely change my life. And in those cases, that's huge reinvention, and that takes a lot of work and thought. And so I'm working on this concept called the Reinvention Roadmap, which takes people through six very specific steps that helps them to get to that destination. I also have a podcast, and so it's been fun, but that's not where I started. I've probably, like you, Nick, have been through micro reinventions my whole life. And I've worked on an Amish farm. I've worked for the NBA and NFL in partnership with them. I've worked for General Electric. I've worked for a startup. I've had a startup. Like, I've been all over the map. And each step of the way, it's taken certain people to sort of show up for me and help me figure things out and be supportive. And it's taken some courage on my end to say, is this a explicit podcast or not?
Shit, yeah.
Okay. So sort of be like, fuck it. I'm just gonna step into what I know to be true. I'm probably gonna take some hits along the way, and I have. But I just feel like this is the right thing to do. And every time I've done that, I've landed in this really cool new place, and I'm enjoying my life. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. And now I want to work with women to help them do the same thing, because I just hear too many of us talking about what it is we hope to do and not what we're doing.
Yeah,
So that's where
that's
I'm at.
huge. That's awesome. Well, congrats.
Thanks.
And yeah, like I was saying before we started this, I wanted to start capturing, authentic conversations with people in my network, starting there and then going beyond that, just to lend to like an experience share for other people, entrepreneurs, whatever. Maybe, political figures, leaders one day look and see all this great work that these small businesses are doing. And this has a global impact and saves, ends world hunger and shit like that. We can all dream, but this was before sort of, this is
Lofty
like
goals,
May.
my friend.
Yeah, right. So this is May 2020. So this is before kind of this pandemic situation, and the podcast is Next Matters Most, the future of business, technology, and entrepreneurship. And so, we've always had a bent on like, hey, what's next? And technology can save the world, but it's like not just technology, it's thinking and processing and other tools in our tool belt, like you're mentioning, like, support networks and coaching and mental health and self-awareness. There's all kinds of shit that goes into that portfolio of improving and getting to that next level, which, to use your words. But it's weird because like that was just always this like abstract thing of how are we thinking about what's next. Now we're in this scenario where we're sort of like shut down or locked in, lockdown. And so it's forcing us all to actually think about like the tactical steps on what's next. And that was sort of eye-opening for me too, where it's like, next is like this, and ... flying cars and like Elon Musk rules the world. But now I'm like, well, next is like have a budget, and like get in shape, because
Yeah.
like when we kind of get back to work and go back to our old habits, we got to like be ready, and be more resilient than ever. And how do we build more resilience? How do we build more like family communications? How do we build more goals? So it sounds like what you're working on is timely because it is about right now and things you can do right now that help set you up kind of for the future, and being your best self or your best, whatever person, partner,
Yeah.
entrepreneur, whatever.
All of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All of that.
What sort of inspired that? I mean, you kind of went into that, but
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Well, and kind of going back to what you just said about what we're all sort of experiencing collectively as a world, as the planet Earth right now, the cracks in our routine. So like the world's experiencing this disruption. Okay, we use that word. And then it becomes super hyper focused on, well, how does that impact me on my day to day? And I mean, like from the moment you wake up to the moment you go back to sleep, these sort of like zombie moments that we've had in our day, the pre-pandemic, where we didn't really pay attention to our routines. We didn't pay attention to the people in our lives in the same way. Now you're like forced to pay attention, in your case, to all your kids, right? You're forced into looking at your marriage. You're forced at looking at your company and the people that work for you in a new way, because everything is so acute. And I've said, and this is very true for me from the beginning until right now, as I'm talking on this podcast, that cracks, the little cracks that were happening, the fissures that happen in my life or in my routine prior became wider. Like I really saw them now. And I've had to adjust. And I mean, I know our listeners, well, they can see it, but like I have a whole new schedule that I highlight. And like, I've really been taking the time to think about how I move and like, is the time that I'm using valuable? And it doesn't have to be like, I'm so productive. It could just be like, if I'm talking to my kid, am I present? Because why wouldn't I be present? I can be present right now. So like the little bad habits that I accumulated along the way, I'm just trying to make some slight adjustments, like a chiropractor, just get realigned so that, to your point, when we get out of this thing, we're rolling again in a new way, in our best, like the most efficient, fluid way. I had a friend who said, this is interesting, Shelley Bell, who's the founder of Black Girl Ventures. She said, water, if you have two hoses that are broken in the middle and you push water through one end, you're going to get water out of the other end if the water pressure is high enough, right? Like that water is still going to flow. You're going to lose some because there's a gap in between, but you can still get water through if you push hard enough. But wouldn't it just be so much easier if you just had just one hose that didn't have the fracture and didn't have the break? Like how much easier it would be to go through our life if we just mend the fractures. And so that's what I've been thinking a lot about. And, to your point of what got me here, I was married for 12 years and went through a divorce in my 30s. And after that, I took a leadership course with one of my mentors, Colonel Joe LaBeouf, who taught leadership development at West Point and also at Duke Fuqua School of Business. And he started talking about this idea of crucible moments, which in 2016 is when I took that class. And since then, I've just been thinking a lot about it. I've been thinking about what those crucible moments, those like moments in your life where you become a new person because something terrible potentially has been forced on you. And in my case, it was like the divorce was such a hard thing to go through that when I came out of that, I was a different person. In fact, if you took pictures of me now and then looked 10 years ago, you wouldn't believe I dressed differently. I look different, I move different, and that was a huge moment for me where I changed and grew for the better. And so did he. We're good friends, so I can talk about him openly. But I just thought if it was like a challenge for me and I had to sit and think about the lies that I was telling myself along the way, like the shit you say, like, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I'm, I'll never be loved, no one can love me again, whatever the stuff you're telling yourself, those lies. And then the lessons, if I hadn't thought about the lies and the lessons, and I'd be the same version of myself I was 10 years ago and wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, that's for sure. So, and I think when entrepreneurs need to do the same thing, I mean, we all do as individuals, and then we need to think about it in terms of our business. Audit, get in there and audit. This is the best time to do it. It's like we've been handed a gift to sit and really take stock of what we've built, and did we build it the right way, and are there a few adjustments we can make?
Yeah. No, that's crazy. I think I knew you maybe 10 years ago, maybe it was 9 years ago. But I still liked you back then. So don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it that long ago? I think I was just coming out. I think you saw the new me, the fresh new me. I'd just come out. You were like, hey, girl, hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was it. That was it. I knew you were like already on the rise.
Like 2 years before you should have met me. And you'd be like, who the hell is this?
Yeah. A mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have been, I guess, for people that don't know, and this is weird talking about people that may or may not, listen or consume this content, but I hope they do, because what you're saying is super valuable. But for people that don't know, you're, an influencer and a leader in both our community of Durham, North Carolina, the Triangle, the state as a whole, and beyond, really, for different aspects of, leadership and community connection, economic development, and more. I don't know. There's probably a laundry list that I should research and post somewhere. But I mean, if I accidentally have a Durham magazine here, you're on the cover or something, oh damn, there's Jess. I need to say hi so I can kind of hang on to your coattails as you keep
hey friend
rocket shipping up and to the right, like what? But that's cool. So I've had a similar. I want to ask you about what then turned this into a business, because I've seen, and I can sympathize or empathize with what you went through, not from the experience on a negative side, but sort of getting a class or getting a coach or getting a mentor, and all of a sudden your eyes are open to self-improvement. When you're in your 20s, you're like, F that. I know everything and no one can tell me anything. And literally I would join venture mentoring services and sign up, oh, should you get an advisory board? And I talk to people, and the stuff they would ask me, I was like, you just literally know nothing about my business. I would listen, and I made good contacts, and I was respectful and stuff, but I just, in my heart, was you don't know shit. You can't tell me anything, because it's just not, you just don't know. It's not your fault. It's just I'm doing this every single day, and for some reason I never captured maybe the good stuff, the essence of what they were saying, or I couldn't translate it and make it work for me. And then at some point that just switched, and it was around the same, not the exact same time per se, but damn near, 2015, 2016, one good coaching session or speech or workshop where you're click, oh wait,
yeah,
instead of just I got out of school mode, you just show up and you beat the test, it's oh, I'm getting so much out of this class, no, I'm not, think B plus, don't have to work too hard to get an A, but you still want to be on the honor roll or dean's list or whatever,
right?
So that's my strategy. Don't tell my mom.
No, I get it. I lived by that for many years.
Yeah, so we'd do these company workshops, and we'd put them on for our staff, and I'd be like, da 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 da. I know I have emails to respond to, but I don't know. I can't remember the moment, but it was something where I was like, wow, taking stock of my strengths, my weaknesses, understanding how I can communicate with others better, and how I can realize where I'm falling off a cliff from a personal perspective, whether it's leadership or communication or just I don't know, blind spots or understanding blind spots. It just sort of changed me for the better. I'm still, have plenty of flaws and fuck tons of stuff up on a regular basis, but it's helped. It's helped it on even in my personal life, where at first it was overkill, because I'd be like, okay, babe, let's have a crucial conversation about this, and we're gonna do this and this, and it got to this. I don't even know if my wife remembers this exact moment, but I remember it very clearly, where she's like, "Don't business book me, motherfucker." And I was like, it's a tool I learned. It's a tool I learned at work.
I'm trying to implement.
Yeah, and it was kind of telling somebody, but I was that was judgmental, right? I was assuming she should know this thing or whatever, or telling somebody you should save more money. I needed to kind of figure out how to just use my tools effectively, and then maybe she would kind of come around, and she would. I mean, obviously I'm the antagonist at home, so it's not you know,
Oh no, I
I'm
can't
the one
believe
trying
that.
to, yeah, seriously. So, but that really worked out, and it's worked out with the team. And, it's still easy to just get mad and, be like, why aren't we hitting our numbers? But then, being able to like understand what's happening in that moment and say, okay, cool. Did we set the right accountabilities for each other? And where was there a failure in my kind of direction or leadership, or in our accountability system? Is there a crack in that? So I don't know. What you're saying totally, rings true to me, because it's something happens and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can consume growth and I can consume leadership.
Yep.
And I can get better from that. I can listen to a podcast or read a book, or it's not like a waste of time to like be like, oh, designing your life, or reading some of these things that used to be throwaways and now they're like important. And then I don't do this as a business, but I do see it in people constantly where I'm like, oh, someone could use help, and that help might mean, practicing, non-judgmental communication. Like, oh, don't tell everyone what to do. You might get a better response if you move into a coaching mode or, experience sharing mode. Don't be a hero, be a coach. Or like, join a peer group. I was on a big, like, I don't know, tangent for a year, like a year and a half ago, where we would have these groups in and host them in our space. And like, they were getting so much out of like what I thought was like relatively 101 knowledge. I'm like, holy shit, you don't like know how to like set up a retirement account. Yeah. So how are you thinking about your finances as an entrepreneur? And it's like, who are you talking to? And so then I was like, all right, we've got to find more people, peer groups, et cetera, because these are the things that build. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to pick your brain on what's your big mission statement of what you've got your why, like why you're doing this, but like this big mission statement of like, you're helping building more resilient women in the workforce, people in the workforce, more resilient entrepreneurs, because if you can level yourself up, acknowledge your weak spots, improve, or I don't know, there's something percolating in my head there where, helping someone with their retirement account isn't going to like cure cancer. But if we have too many people sort of running out of gas because they don't have the support network on some of these lower level things, we're not going to get those people might sputter out before they become breakthrough business leaders, people, great community members, entrepreneurs, et cetera. I guess how do you apply that learning into kind of business? And did you have like a moment where you're like, wow, I'm helping people constantly and I should flip this into a company?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it sounds like you grew up. I mean, it sounds like an asshole thing to say, but it sounds like there's a
whatever,
moment,
Jess.
and I remember that moment for me too. For me, it was always like, I was a spouse. I was like, I was sort of the tag along with high ambitions, but sort of trailing spouse in many ways. And then at some point you're just like, you know what? That's not how I'm built. Like, that is not how I'm wired, and why I pretend that I live this sort of like, housewife life is not who I am. So at some point you just have to decide, like, who are you, and like step into that, or don't, and just live a lie and feel some kind of way about it the rest of your life. That's an option. And people do it all the time. I just couldn't do it because I literally am not wired that way. I just couldn't. And so it sounds like for you, which I love, I was smiling over here, you were just like, I just one day decided. And in my head, I was like, to grow up, because that's what you have to do. You stop being the student, right? I mean, you're always a student, but you stop sort of taking things in. But then there's a point where you begin to take it, translate it, and convey it in your words, because you're a unique person, Nick. I mean, those of us who know you, and those who are listening who are going to get to know you, you think about things differently. You are an interesting communicator. You're able to like weave stories and tell things in a very layman's term, and you're brilliant at the same time because you're growing a successful company. And so I find that all fascinating. But at some point you're able to sort of take everything that you've been listening to and then say, I can give it to others to benefit them and me. And that's a good thing. And that's like the moment where it shifts and we grow up and we become contributors instead of takers. Like for me, for business, right? I mean, everything that I'm saying can feel soft and squishy around this idea of reinvention, but I started to learn really my whole life, but definitely in the last 5 years along the way, that the whole person, there's real value in focusing on the whole person. People oftentimes are like, I don't really get like how you build relationships. And people will say, you know, my strengths is communication. I'm a pretty good writer. I'm a good communicator, and I'm a great networker. Okay. And what does that mean? I mean, I don't know how to code, right? I can't balance. I mean, I can do a balance sheet. I can do all the business stuff, but I mean, but you know, like I'm not an accountant. I don't have letters behind my name. So like people kind of discount those softer skills, but the softer skills for me have propelled me through my entire career, because not only do I marry the strengths of being a great communicator, relationship builder, and networker, and writer, I'm also really hard worker. I work all the time. And so when you take those two things, and if you have an idea, well, like nothing can stop you. And so when I thought about this business idea, I was like, you know, the whole person gets neglected. We focus too much on outcomes and what people are delivering to the marketplace, right? And focusing on our brand on Instagram. When people are hurting, they don't know how to do their retirement. They don't, and it's not about the retirement, it's the fact that they won't tell anybody. That whole person part is the piece I'm talking about, is the one where they're too scared to talk about it because it'll make them look something to other people. And so they go years without saving or without doing smart investment because they don't want to tell anybody they have chink in the armor. And that is sad to me. And I love that you said this thing about the peer group, because peer group means that hopefully, if it's done well, that it will foster vulnerability and in all of Brene Brown's books, right? but that truly people can sit and tell one another something that's holding them back, and then and save them months and months and months of anguish. And that's a good thing. We should be doing more of that for each other, particularly if you're good at a lot of things. Sharing that knowledge and helping somebody through is important. We need to do more of that. And so the business side of this, you know, it's a whole thing, right? I have 2 books coming out. I have a podcast that's launching in a week. I have a course, right? I have, you know, my website, all the things that sort of complete this package around reinvention. But that's because people consume things in different ways. And my business brain knows that. And so I'm trying to pull from all these different pieces, follow folks who've done it really, really well, and then take my unique personality and what I bring to the table and put my own spin on it, because there are people out there who I will resonate with, and I want to help them. That whole person thing is my passion, truly. I could never go back now, because I will feel unfulfilled. And I think at this point in my life, I'm over 40, fulfillment is important. And that's all I'm aiming for.
29 for the audience. So.
Yeah, I'm 29 for the audience. That's right. That's right. I look like I'm 29.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your Instagram page is super tight. So
thanks.
I think
come follow me, Jes Averhart, at Jes Averhart.
That's right.
That's Instagram. And website, jesaverhart.com. How about all those plugs? Yep, it's a business podcast, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, damn. So that's a lot. How long did it take you to produce all of that body of work? Multiple books, a course delivered electronically. Obviously, you're going to have some sort of coaching in person or virtual.
Yep. All of that, 6 months probably. I mean, started working on it, really working on content and workshopping, turned my house into a workshop in December of 2019. So it took, where are we at? Almost June. So 6 months to now, though I've been thinking about content and working on the system and the process for a couple of years, but actually translating it so that it fit my personality. I started writing at the end of 2019. The books, I started writing my first book, which is actually a dating book. It has a lot to do with personalities, right? And men, we put them in categories, but that's neither here nor there. The dating book does sort of fit, because it is all around, you know, finding your right person. But that one's done. We're done with our first draft, and we're in like phase 2 editing. So that'll come out. And then I'm in the middle of my second book, which is much more around leadership development and my own personal story. That is kind of unique in that I'm biracial and raised in a small town in Ohio with all white folks. and then didn't have my dad and found my dad and divorce, and just sort of like the journey that we all are on. Mine is uniquely different from everyone else's, but I sort of talk about the lessons that I learned along the way, that hopefully will be helpful to folks when they read it. So
Well,
content is king, right? Go ahead,
that's right.
Nick.
No, I was going to say, like, and I will come back to this, but like, what made you realize that your story, what I'm hearing is your story makes you uniquely you, and understanding these pieces of your story help you find your own strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and other people, and helping other people understand theirs and why they're wired a certain way is important to their sort of like foundation laying. How'd you figure that out?
Well, I had people tell me, I mean, I definitely don't live in a vacuum, but my story is weird, and it's almost defies belief in many ways. And so as I was, so lived experience will chart your course. And as I was sort of living some of this out, people were like, I don't even believe that's true. That, I mean, there's so many elements to it, but so people would be just like, you have to write a book about that. And then something else would happen. And they're like, seriously, Jess, you've got to get that out. And so, people will guide you. There's sort of guide stars along the way. And so in my case, it was somebody said, you really should write this book. And then they said it again and again, many, many people in different industries, men and women at different age levels. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something to that. And so I just listened. That's pretty much it. I just listened, and there we are.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. And I mean, I guess, how would you package that up for like a potential person that you might be helping in terms of how, knowing your own story? Just like I had a group or a coach that we focus on this, and we presented sort of our stories, ups and downs, and like highs and lows. Well, let me just say what I'm saying. And this I think is very relevant, which is we went back into kind of childhood and like presented highs and presented lows, memorable moments, memorable figures. And so, now I'm 39. At the time, I think I was 38. So it was many years ago. Just kidding. But, it's like, I'm like, okay, like my memories are like, well, my parents got divorced when I was in first or second grade. And so I ended up, wasn't a big deal. I was too young to really realize. And I was bike ride distance away. So it kind of felt normal, but like I changed schools a lot, and, this parent moved here. And then I was like, from this program to like the other program, and like things were shuffling around. So I was in like 4 schools in 5th grade. So like, okay, well, was I just more independent? I didn't have like a strong set of friends. It's like, oh, okay. It wasn't like, wasn't necessarily like my parents got divorced, I was emotionally devastated. It was almost like as a byproduct of that, I went from this school district to this school district, and that school district happened to like redistrict a few times. And so by the time I was in 5th grade, I was in, whatever. Another one was like, I remember like one coach, it's like, all the other little details are sort of like, they get fuzzy, but each thing sort of makes you sort of who you are. And so like, well, I was in team sports. So like, I like being a part of a team. But our teams also were, competitive, and it's about winning. So it's like, well, competitive drive and winning. And I probably have that like worksheet somewhere, but I mean, it was more like we had to really think about it for like a month and put this thing together and make a presentation for each other. So it's like a strong tool to get people saying like, and I felt, I mean, I don't, this isn't like a whole like imposter syndrome. It's not, I don't know what I mean, but like, I kind of felt like, oh, I'm just like a regular guy, plenty of opportunities, and there's no like victim here. And it wasn't about that. I kind of was like, well, no, there's just things that shape you, and whether they're hard or they are what they are. It was like, okay, now I can really understand my own story. And that shit, I mean, like if I had enough time, that would have been like part of our, that would be a part of like our ethos or DNA as a business that I would be a part of, either my current company or another company, because it could inform many things of how I might have strengths and leadership in this way, but weaknesses in other ways. So that was just a powerful exercise. So I'm hearing you kind of went through that yourself, and it sounds like that's something that you would strongly, focus on with some of your, clients as you start and grow this business.
Yeah. And I think, for your podcast, for the listeners on this podcast who are probably in business, potentially, founders or entrepreneurs, this is so important, and don't miss this. The most effective leaders know their story. The most effective leaders not just know it, but can tell their story. It makes you more empathetic. It makes you more relatable. It makes you more grounded. If you're living out of self-help books and you're reading, one a week and you're posting about all the stuff you're reading, that's fantastic because that complements who you are. But who are you, right? It's complementing who? What is it complementing? And if you don't know who you are to the core, those self-help books kind of fall flat. It's like arrows that bounce off of you because they're not hitting the stuff because you're not in touch with it. And to your point, Nick, it seems so obvious, but like you had to go through an exercise to pull that out of you because people don't pull this out of themselves because they discount it. They think everybody's got a thing and I didn't grow up in the hood or, like my son, he's always like, he's a middle-class Black kid and he's living the dream. And so for him, he watches ESPN sometimes and is like, I don't have those motivators, right? Certain motivators that we'll see or levers that we pull. And I'm like, yo, you've got motivators. Trust me, your story is uniquely yours and you will find the energy around your own story. And he has since then. I mean, he's 17 and he is finding like triggers for him where it's like, yes, this is, I'm setting my course and I'm setting it because of these reasons or whatever his dreams are, right? But don't miss this for our CEOs or our founders or those who are potentially wanting to start a business. You are the most effective as a human and as a leader. If you're planning on leading people, you better know your story. Key.
Yep.
It's key.
Oh, sweet. Goosebumps. That was great. That was a great moment. So, it sounds like, and I got this from a coach. So I worked with a guy, Tim Oakley, who recruited a group.
Yeah, no, Tim.
And he was going hard on story and just like, man, let's get it out there and understand it and find where, there are vulnerabilities and things. And there's a few other, entrepreneurs,
and your values, core values.
Yeah. So there's, but I want to make sure that it sounds like I'm so excited for your business too, because, there's always been sort of like an access issue. Like some of these groups are like, over X amount of funds raised or X amount of revenue and they're gates. And also some of the groups are all dudes and like all white dudes even, or just whatever, or even older white dudes at that, and it's like, so it's kind of like, well, that's cool. I mean, like if you're there and you're present and you're vulnerable and all that, some of the groups that are all white dudes, I get the most out of because they've got so much knowledge. And one guy who I hope to have on here is a psychologist. And every time we show up, he just drops some like bomb of knowledge. You're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I appreciate that, but it's still like, how does everybody get access to these things that are so valuable and they're so easy and it's so fucking free too. So like just talk and think about yourself and write it down. Like that doesn't have to be. So yeah, I mean, in the one of many sort of sidebar project ideas, and if I can contribute to what you're working on in any ways, let me know. But one of my sidebar ideas was like somehow creating like a template, just worksheets that people could do on their own for even, I might have even posted about this actually. So I might have some content on the internet about, cause it was about this. It was like, anyways, I love when we talk because we're always so on the same page and so many things. Like I was all in on whole self and fulfillment. And like, that was meaning, it just like, that was all we're really after. It's, I'm going to find the book, but I read this book called Flourish. I don't know if you've read it. I'm going to find the author while we're chatting, but so I can cite it, but that's all it was about. It was like, meaning we have, we want praise and reward from others. We want positive relationships. We want community. We want, personal achievement. Like it's like this, but it's not just one thing. If you just focus on your goals and you sacrifice community and personal relationships, you're not flourishing. You're not going to be overall happy. And they also talks about getting rid of the word happy. Like we're just happy. Like what, does eating a steak make you happy? Yes. Okay. Well, eating 100 steaks, does that make you happy? Like, no, it kills you.
No.
Right. Like I love that, I got success. I got praise by my peers. Does that make you happy? Yes. So are you only going to chase that and only that at the expense of everything else? And the answer is no, because that's not where you're going to get ultimate fulfillment. So I love that we're just always kind of reading from the same playbook. But I thought, I was like, how do we, man, I will link this too. I feel like I did post this.
It's Martin Seligman. It's on Yeah, it's on my list. So that's
Yeah, I
what
think he was head for a while. He was head of the American Psychology Association. So he's really high up and very well regarded, influential, sort of, I think even a little bit, this was a little bit like kind of on the fringe of what the mainstream believed in at the time he published this. So
yeah,
kind of like it was saying like the old, like people have a soul desire to be happy or soul desire to extend the human race is too like monoclastic or whatever, like this, it's too singular, and that's not actually how humans are. So I thought that was really cool. It's a very
good. It's true.
dull read. It's very academic, but man, it was worth it. It was like super worth it. In fact, I did it on an audiobook, so it was like 9 hours, but like each time I was like writing down notes. I was like,
it was
flourish,
good.
flourish, flourish. So good. But that's important to setting yourself up for success. So I will find the link, because I did think I either wrote this or pitched it to maybe WRL, but it was like the power of peer groups and how to even, it was like posting online resources for just simple, like do this, do that, like find a group, talk to each other, organize, show up, and then commit to like being accountable, because finding this knowledge and unlocking this isn't a special magic trove of like that only a select few can get to, you know, it's not Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade or whatever. So I just,
and it takes discipline.
Yesterday.
I've been watching that. We are on the same wavelength because it's on Netflix right now.
That's
like
right,
the whole series is out. Yeah. And
sure.
1 and 3 are the best in my opinion.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Symbol of Doom just gets weird. It's just like
it's super weird. Yeah.
And it doesn't. It kind of resolves itself, but it's sort of like, all right, you just gave the rock back to that village, and then you're out. Like, sweet.
I'm with you. Yeah.
You just fell off the side of that ladder. Like, okay, that's how. It's done. So okay, that's great. This is like, you know, turned into something really special, I think, and important, because as we think about next matters most and like, hey, how do we think about the future? It's really like at the same time, and especially right now, how do we think about ourselves and strengthening our whole self so that we're ready to take on the future and tackle those challenges that are to come, both because of situational shit like the pandemic, but also challenges that are to come as you try to better yourself and try to improve your life, relationships, company, your whole self.
Think of it as foundational work. That's what I say. I mean, people want to jump to the end result. They want to talk about tactics. They want to talk about the top 5 things to, you know, whatever, improve your brand, or the top 2, whatever the top lists are. But like the foundational work is the hardest work. It requires the most discipline and it can be scary because it's very personal. But if you can get that right, if you can build a really good foundation, then you can do whatever you want to do. You can go and take all those lists and rock them out, because it's set on something that's not gonna be shaken. So this is important work, and people really do need to take the time to do it.
And this is like, I think that's sort of the future trajectory and how we talk about next matters most and being an effective leader. And this isn't necessarily aimed at being like how to start your business 101, but I guess, you know, like you've always been community focused too, like building your community, building relationships. I remember it was like 2 years ago, we were talking, it was like, all right, what can we do here at Durham? And you're like, well, I might move to Atlanta. I was like, no, damn it. Wait, like we need you.
Right.
Is that still happening? I'm just kidding.
No, it's funny. Everybody is asking, still
news
asking
release.
Are you leaving? Are you leaving? Breaking news.
But you, I'm kind of like, maybe like from a stepping back abstract point of view, you have this desire to build stuff, build communities, inspire people, and help people, and you've kind of made your passion into a business. Are there sort of thoughts or tips? This isn't like a tip and listicle kind of deal, but like, are there thoughts or tips you want to share for people who are like, I've got a passion, what are steps I can take to evaluate if that's even a viable business idea?
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole thing on passion and purpose. So when we use the word passion, I get a little like bristly, because, you know, I'm passionate about traveling, and I'm not making a business out of travel because it's not viable for me right now. Or somebody might be passionate about rock collecting, and I'm not sure that you can, like, you know, kill the game in that. I don't know, but purpose. Yeah, I think there's some work around purpose, and I. So I had a good mentor who said, this to me once, and it was really on point. He was like, you know, you have to ask some good questions, and because we're on a podcast, we can't go into all the questions, but there are some questions that you should ask yourself when you're thinking about starting a business. The first one is, are you comfortable being uncommon? And if you're not comfortable being uncommon, you probably aren't ready to start a business, because it takes so much. You know this, Nick. I actually shouldn't be talking about this, because you should talk about this, because I've seen you do this. You know, you have to give up a lot. People don't often understand you. You feel alone. You're taking on a lot of risk. People don't understand that risk. They think that it's crazy, right? And they want to reassign your gifts and talents to something safe. Well, why don't you just work for blah, blah, blah? You're so gifted and talented. And you're like, I want to start a company, and this is where I want to go. So if you're not, the first question is, if you're not willing to be uncommon or aren't comfortable with that space, I would say hold on. So it's not the time for you. Others may disagree with me, but I haven't seen it work. I mean, people will back off quickly as soon as the criticism comes. It gets hard, and you have to press forward. So that's the first thing. The second is, I would ask the people around me that know you best. So the people in my world that know me best, if I'm working on something or have an idea and I trust them and they're not just like feeding my ego, they are able to cut through the noise and say, help me with timing, help me with my thought process, and give me the gift of their expertise to help me think about how to maybe execute that and whether or not it's viable. Practically, you know this lean canvas model. What's out in the marketplace? What's really going on? How would you price it? Do you have competition? Is it real? You know, could it make it? Or is this the fifth version of the same thing? Or is it a new audience? Or, you know, how does it play? The lean canvas model is a free one-page tool online, and it's a quick and easy like assessment maybe of what you're thinking about doing. So those are some very high level thoughts, I think, but doing that foundational work, getting a really good group of people, peers and otherwise around you to sort of throw these ideas off, and then practically putting it on paper and seeing, you know, who are you up against? And then do you have the mettle to step out into this? Because it's not easy.
That's right. That is funny how it is kind of that simple. Like, I guess it's been years since I thought about that first one, where it's like you have to be uncommon, but then it makes me think of a lot of people, peers, friends even, where it's like, oh, let's do this one thing. It's like, yeah, well, you know, man, I got to work today. And then maybe like after work, well, I got to go, you know, do this thing. And then like with my friends, I got to go do this thing. And you're like, okay. So maybe like this weekend, like, yeah, oh, we've got this like bachelor party. Like, you're like, okay. Like, so never mind. We're out not doing this deal.
Yeah.
And it's being kind of uncommon. And I guess for just, across the board in terms of, you know, every person out there, that's a huge one. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable. And then that second one, are you familiar with Johari's window? Obviously, that's very much
leadership.
Good, not good, known, unknown. So getting feedback from people, and that's like what they know that you're good at, or know you're not good at, or some weaknesses. But then there's the other that is unknown, and trying to solve for that. Those are
you
so
should put
easy.
That you should put that in the show notes. Johari's window. Just reference that in the book, because those are really good examples around leadership development for sure.
Yeah, and they're just so easy. It's crazy. It's like anyway, so you're building. So when we're talking about Next Matters Most, I'll get the hang of how to make this show like focus, but I don't really care. I think it's important to just sort of like let these convos go wherever they may. But building, I mean, are your clients like specifically thinking about leadership or specifically thinking about corporate career development, or are they are you like helping people be better, you know, humans, parents, partners, whatever? Like,
it's usually comes in as a career coaching moment, and it ends up with a life coaching relationship, right? So and men and women both are calling me right now, which is always so interesting, because I'm super clear about really wanting to work with women and transformational leadership with women. But I've had 2 men call me in the last week who are like, but it all applies, right? I'm like, it definitely all applies. And it's usually around a career shift. It's transition. And then within 10 to 15 minutes, you recognize that, well, it goes back to the whole person. There's just all kinds of stuff going on. And it's creating confusion in their life. And and they really, my work is to help sort out the confusion and help lay it out in a way that everybody can see it for what it is, and draw some lines from here to there to here to there. And what I'm enjoying the most is getting through the process of understanding their strengths and weaknesses and assets and all these other, very basic things that people don't take the time to do. Looking at their crucible moments, but then laying out the map, like, how are we going to get there, right? And the ones who are really on it, like, pursue it with like just a reckless abandon, right? This is something they're just grateful to have a partner in it, because so much of what we do alone. Our personal work we do alone. We get into a book and we read, and then we don't have anybody to share it with because no one's read it with us, or it requires vulnerability. And I don't want to tell you about the fact that my, whatever, that I'm, not happy in my marriage, or that my kid has, autism. And so it requires this whatever kind of stuff at home. And so because things get really personal and they impact our professional, coaching is really helpful, because it provides a safe space to be able to explore everything about you and get you to the next level.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I was kind of trying to think about what was Mike Jones' phone number, because you're like, people are just calling me, and I was going to say, well, if you have like a memorable phone number,
I don't
just shout it out.
Like, what was Jones? 999999999.
No, something
that's the attorney
800. Yeah,
888-888-888.
Mike Jones was something 8004.
I don't think I'm going to put my number out, but people can go to the website, and it's just JessAverhart.com. It's very simple, but it's Jess with one S. That's the key. Jess with one S. Come on.
So sweet. Okay, cool. Well, I'll try to keep us moving towards the close here in the next few minutes.
Awesome.
And, one thing is, I guess, like, vulnerability is such a huge thing. Is there something that's sort of an example that where you've been vulnerable, or some experience that you shared with others that you think is meaningful now? I mean, obviously now it's sort of a time when we're all having kind of issues, but do you have an experience share around vulnerability?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong one. I am like an open book. I really am an open book. I would tell you things that people would be uncomfortable hearing on this podcast. So, and you probably tell me you want to hear it all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my vulnerability. I don't know. I mean, a vulnerability story. This is a good question that I would want to share with listeners. That's helpful. I think so I haven't talked a lot about being a parent, but I'm a parent to a 17-year-old, and he's in the next room sleeping still, because that's what they do. And there is a point where you need to, as a parent, you need to relinquish the reins, right? We all know this, but then there is also the same point where you need to learn from your kids. And parents will say, I learn from my kids all the time, and they're 2 and 3 and 4. I'm talking about when they are mindful and they're almost to be an adult, and they're talking to you about who you are and what you're about. I have now started asking my son questions about how he sees me and how he sees me as a parent, and does he believe in me in building this business? And I'm working on, I'd gained all this weight over pandemic COVID, and he was telling me what he's seen over the years, how I will start something and not finish it, when it comes to my health and wellness work. And so listening to him, because he sees me better than anybody else. And he was like, Mom, you're on it this week. He's like, your key is consistency, right? You've got to be consistent. And so yesterday I was like, I was so mad. I hadn't lost a pound. I hadn't lost anything. I was the same amount I was 2 days in a row. And I was so discouraged. And he was like, see, he goes, I knew this was going to happen. He was like, the minute you don't see success, you start to revert back. And I just had to listen to him, because he's absolutely right. And so I don't know. I think it's about dropping the ego, and it can, lessons come from every place. And this kid lives with me. So I get some of my best lessons from my own son. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
That's
spouses, family, pay attention to it.
That's like really crazy deep and like sort of just touching me like a very weird way, which also sounds weird and uncomfortable. So I think we're also on the same same wavelength. But yeah, because my oldest is 9, so it's not like but he's kind of, we had the same thing. Well, also I had the same problem with fitness goals and COVID goals too. Like we were crushing it up through March 13th, like losing weight, healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were eating, clean eating, like doing Whole30. I think really we weren't drinking. I think we had a couple weekends off like in March or like Valentine's Day, but like basically on the wagon. Now like my wine collection is depleted down to like 1 bottle left. And that was all through the end of April too. And like takeout, we were like pretending we needed to like protect our food supplies. It was so stupid. And I talked myself into like, I need to work at night because I'll be with the kids. They're so distracting. I like made so many freaking excuses for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a vicious cycle. And it quickly gave back all the gains we made for the first part of the year. And that has this like crazy bad psychological effect where you're like, I just fucked that up so hard and like failed. And like, we've got to pull ourselves out of it. And somehow, and I say we, like my wife's a part of this, she's not. She's like totally moderation and in shape and doesn't like do this yo-yo weight and shit. Like, I'm just like, so I was almost late to this because I was riding the Peloton. This is actually the first time I was joking that it's actually become cool to be like, hey, I've got a Peloton.
I've had a Peloton.
Fitness and fitness classes are typically female led, and more females are participating in group fitness. And all the ads are like, attractive, like men and women, but mostly women doing the Peloton. They're all fit. But now it's like everyone's at home. So like, I've got a Peloton. Like all these guys, like golfers, athletes, and
are riding away, riding the Swiss Alps.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a Peloton. It's an announcement. But yeah, but I remember we were outside and I was like, man, I'm trying to like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where they are in their life. Like, can you like follow orders, like give you structure, or can you listen to me as a grown-up, not dad? Because obviously that sort of sucks and kind of conflates things. If I'm trying to like be like, hey, go do this task. So that's been a hard adjustment. But I was like, man, run these like drills or sprints. He's like, you need to run them. I was like, well, I'm out of shape. He's like, that's why you need to run them. I was like,
okay.
Hold up, but I'm on rehab though, right? I pulled my hamstring.
But wait,
on that ladder
there's
drill.
more. Right.
I know, it's just like, so that stinks. But thanks for that share. What are you excited about? I guess kind of for the next, I don't know, name your time increment, months, years, and beyond.
Wow. Yeah, I'm excited about launching this business. I'm really excited about getting into the data science behind it, seeing what works and what's resonating with people. I'm going to nerd out on that a little bit, so that's kind of fun. I'm thrilled that my son is getting ready to go to college. He's going to Morehouse in the fall. And so, I'm going to take on a new parenting role and run down to Atlanta and watch him play football. Like, I'm thrilled about that. I'm anxious a little bit about what it all means. And is he going to be able to go to school? I think he is, but still things are so much up in the air. But he's starting a new chapter, so that'll be fun. And then, I also had a friend who said you build so much of your story around your kids or around chapters of your life. And so like, I feel like this chapter is closing. Like, it's not like I'm doing all this for Trey, I'm doing all this for my son. Well, my son's getting ready to go to college. So now what are you doing it for? Yep. So like redesigning like my motivators around what is it? What am I driving for? And some of it's still unknown. I'm not really sure, but I'm excited about figuring that all out. Yeah.
Damn. What's your big kind of community thought process or push now? Are there things that sort of our areas needs that you're impacting, or are you just going to focus on impacting them through the work that you're doing for your business?
Yeah. It's a very interesting question. It's probably the most provocative one you've asked, and you didn't even really know it. For our listeners, I typically sit on I typically sit on 6 to 7 boards at a time. I've stepped off every board that I'm on, which is challenging for me because I love the work that I do. If I'm on a board, I'm all in. So I've stepped off all my boards. I've been asked to run for elected office on a couple of different occasions, and I've declined them. And it's weird for me, but remember about this idea about being uncommon. I've got to live that I've got to live that out. And so for me right now, it's about building this business and helping people along the way, to what you said, with the end game to be able to circle back to my community in a more powerful and impactful way. And, you can be in the weeds and on the ground and worker bee, but there's also another space that you can live in and impact your community maybe more profoundly and at an exponential level. I don't know what all that means. It could be drawing attention to Durham and the stuff that's going on in our communities on a national platform and being able to be the person who provides that message. Maybe it's starting a foundation and helping to think about how to inspire existing leadership within communities, right? Because we don't believe in charity around here. We believe in justice, social justice, right? So that's a whole nother podcast. But there's a whole level of thinking that is sort of taking me out of this board service and, whatever, and sort of going up a notch and thinking about what would it look like if you had a level of influence and resources to support your community at a new level. So, it's tough,
dude,
though, because I've lived there for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk for like hours, but we always do this because it's like, how are you doing all that? And how are you even like gearing yourself up to like have the energy to like make such an impact and be so important and so impactful on all these different organizations and run your own life and run your own, whatever your personal life and run your own, businesses and roles in leadership groups and all that, crazy shit. So that's like very impressive. I mean, that's super impressive, but like, I'm just want to piggyback off what you said, because you're like, now you're saying no, and you're saying like, hey, because it is easy. And I'd almost say, I don't even know how to say this without sounding shitty, but it's almost easy to like really get dragged down and have like, be too like mid-level, and like the mid-level people then just say yes, like, oh yeah, I'll do that, because everybody wants the help and everybody needs the help. Yeah. Or needs assistance or needs expertise, like, or everyone could use it. They don't need it, but they would love it, and like they would truly benefit from your help. But you or universal you or someone like you in that situation, like at some point can't just help everybody. The best thing you can do is help yourself. And if you help yourself, then yeah, you can level up and get, not incrementally more, like all you're doing is given this many hours and this many hours, but instead of incrementally more service, you can get exponentially more by focusing on yourself first.
Yeah.
Which is,
you said it well. That's it.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy. And my shit's the same way. I never maybe was so thoughtful about it as I was in that last 5 seconds, but it just kind of toggles up and down. Like I have free time, I'm help, like then I'm busy. I'm just right. Like stiff arm.
I can't. Yep.
Because I can't. I'm already doing enough, and maybe too much. And if it's at my own detriment or the detriment of employees that I'm employing, or other people in the community that benefit from the fact that we're doing what we do, then I feel justified in saying kind of no when it makes sense. But I do want to work together with you and other leaders. We all should be. I mean, there is still sort of like the kind of like stronger together. Fuck that. That's a hashtag. I don't care. But I don't mean that. I mean like, we've always talked about how do we get just our people, our influencers, our leaders in this community, and this could be a model for any community. Just communicate on a more regular basis in a form that makes sense for us, right? We're kind of on we're like blends of sort of community people, but we're not public servants. We're kind of entrepreneurs or businessy types. And we really have no agenda other than like making it the best place it can be in a way that is suitable for, future growth and prosperity and inclusivity and being.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be this versus that. Yeah. It shouldn't be like community work versus entrepreneurship and economic development. Everything works together, right? So as we're worrying about affordable housing, we should be thinking about pay. We should be thinking about jobs. We should be thinking about small business, because if you want, so again, this goes off on a tangent, but the simplified version of affordable housing is you either make more affordable housing or you pay people more. And the last I checked, nobody's trying to gobble up all this land and create affordable housing. I mean, it's a big debate. So maybe it's on the other side. Maybe it's you pay people more. Well, in that case, then we do have to talk about a living wage. And then we do have to talk about having more jobs that pay a living wage, which means we have to really support our small businesses and our startups so that they can create a robust economy to help with that push on this affordable housing issue. And, you know, we can take this all the way down. Every issue you can think of, the business community matters, and the thought leadership within the business community matters, because they're running successful businesses. And so economies, you know, healthy economies need strong, thoughtful leadership and successful leadership to think about their social justice issues, and maybe innovate and do things differently, because we should be able to solve our problems. We created them.
That's right.
We should be able to solve them.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, even when you're talking about the affordable housing, going down to like training, you know, education training, retraining, which is kind of where we've plugged in at times with like software development and coding and code schools and curriculums maybe for at the high school level or community college level. But one of these times, this same issue came into conflict was one, I think we were talking once like years ago, where it's like, which charity do you get involved with, or which group? I was like, there's like this YMCA, there's Habitat, there's this other thing. It's like, we all want to help all, but if we just split our time too much, we can help no one. So it'd be great to, be great to have some group where we organize around these thoughts. Cause, you know, kind of if you get the right group and it's in sort of like you know, where all ideas are fair and it's a safe place, then like, you know, you do have to push all the buttons.
You're right. I have to get on a call. I was supposed to be on it 5 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, me too.
Can you edit that? Can you edit that out?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, let me jump on here.
I hope it's a new lead.
We're interviewing for my position at Leadership Triangle. So cool. I gotta go.
I might circle back with a little closer or whatever, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. Sorry, my friend. Okay, bye. I was enjoying this. Okay.
Yes, me too. Bye. All right, thank you. Bye.